Hello, Dr. Mandernock. I hope I'm saying that right. So this is the video for my Unit 1 discussion. You told me to talk about the key topics or the concepts of behaviorism, which is the same topic I used to discuss during my discussion posts. Um, so usually behaviorism gets represented in the textbooks, like our textbook, described as focus only on observable behavior and ignoring um, thoughts and feelings. And we hear that basic ideas of classical conditioning, which is like, some stimuli comes into contact with another stimuli and it triggers a automatic response. Um, One example I could think of would be like just like you could say like sneezing, or if you want to go for more of a visceral reaction, is someone being like scared and then they like that fight or flight, that fear. Um, and then you have operant conditioning, which is where behavior can be modified through reinforcement or punishment. For instance, I have kids, and like, if they're bad, me whipping them can change their behavior, or rewarding them for something good that they did, to just reinforce good behavior. Um, Especially with those two things, I find that, um, well, mainly operant conditioning, depending on the child. Well, my child, I have two kids, so they react differently depending on which type of conditioning I might be trying to use on them. Um, but I'm getting off topic. But uh, when you look at behaviorism in like a historical context, it really starts to look different to me. Um, it wasn't just like a neutral theory about learning. It came from a time when psychology was trying hard to look like the natural sciences, like physics and biology, and they want to be taken seriously. And then you have introspection psychology, which is looking inward at yourself, and people saw that as like messy and unreliable. So focusing only on behavior or like the outcomes of certain situations or events seem like the best kind of ob- objectivity and like measurement for things that happen. And then we also saw how behaviorism was used in real settings and not just like for the lab. For So for example, like in Skinner's work, with operant conditioning, it shows up in schools, for things like teaching, like, reward charts for children for like cleaning up or doing things, and then um, IEPs, like behavior plans. And those systems can help shape behavior, but it also show how behaviorism can be used to manage and control people, especially kids, without really caring about what they were thinking or how they're feeling, as long as they're doing what they're told or like follow the rules. And um, another example that the book covers was Watson's little Albert experiment, which I had never heard of before. And it was just like a clear case of classical conditioning. Teaching a child to fear a white rabbit by pairing it with a loud noise. Um, and it demonstrates how powerful conditioning can be. But when you look at it with our current ethical standards, especially with a lot of the ways, a lot of things are feeling based this day and age. Um, you get some people would find it very disturbing, and it also kind of changed a little bit how I see the scientific image of behaviorism. So the shift for me was that before I read into this more, I saw behaviorism as a kind of like a cold but logical and just like methods for changing behavior. Didn't really see much as a big deal. But then looking at the history, um, I see it more as a product of its time, which shaped by the values of control and efficiency and objectivity of the people back then. And I still think, behaviorism is useful. I think we people tend to use it just like naturally. Um, for things like habit changing or behavioral therapy. But I think now I'm more cautious about how harmful it can be, especially to those who you are conditioning, because, like I said, people react to it differently. Um, but the main takeaway I would say is that behaviorism isn't just about learning, it's also about who is using it and for what purpose they're doing it for. Are you using it to manipulate someone or help somebody? Um, and then when I see how behaviorists are now, I still find myself, asking, who benefits from this, what they're doing, and then what's being left out, what's not being addressed, and what's happening inside the person that the theory doesn't really talk about, and how it affects them. And so I would say that's my basic explanation of the key concepts of behavioralism. Thank you.